Hello and welcome to another episode of Battle Ready. Ready.
Yeah.
Where today, when it comes to approaching the hobby, which is painting, building, lore reading, all that stuff, right? All the non-gaming
You
parts.
typically use your legs to approach it.
Wow, I like you walk on your hands. But when you approach the hobby, I think most people break down into two sort of camps. And Drake and I are in opposite camps. So camp one is you do it when the feeling strikes you.
Yeah.
Right? When things are good, when you feel that motivation, and when you don't feel that motivation, you do something else.
Yeah.
There's other things in the world to do. And the camp that I'm in is full sin dedication.
Yeah.
Right? Just I have time set aside.
Do it.
To just get it done and get it out of the way. So I thought we'd talk about some of the pros and cons about both ones. And also, I don't think either one is necessarily better, right? It's whatever's good for you, however you enjoy the hobby, right? If doing it my way is going to make you dread the hobby, then don't do it my way. If doing it Drake's way makes you unsatisfied at hobby progress, then don't do it Drake's way, right? I think all of us are going to find where we sort of fit. But I thought we'd talk a little bit about advantages and disadvantages. Mm-hmm. Which one do you want to go for first?
You.
Okay, well, I'll talk about the advantages, and then you can tell me why it's bad.
Okay.
All right. So here's the biggest advantage, is I don't need to wait for inspiration or motivation. I don't need to look online for, pictures. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to get that done. I just have the time set aside most weekdays to do a little painting. And whether I'm feeling it or not, I just do it. And the reason is partly because when it comes to painting, I don't really enjoy it anyway. So forcing myself to paint is like it's not anything extra that's bad because it's already bad. But my goal, my 100% goal, is not to like engage with the medium and have a meditative experience. And for a lot of people, that's what it is, and that's fine. But for me, my goal is to get stuff ready for the tabletop so that my game is awesome. And the only way stuff gets ready is if it gets painted. Mm. And stuff takes a certain number of hours to paint. Mm. And so I'm just like, all right, well, most weekdays, I'm going to set aside the time. I'm going to get it painted. And that way, when we get new models, my pile of shame is actually at this moment, I have a terrain piece that's almost done. And once that is finished, my pile of shame is 0. Thank you. But it's that way, it's like I'm constantly moving the progress forward. And then on game day, I can look at it and be satisfied. Same way, when I do a little electrical work around the house, or when I installed the new garbage disposal, or you do a little plumbing work. It's like, it's not fun. It's not fun to do in the moment. But afterwards, you get a little bit of satisfaction. You're like, yeah.
I save $1 million.
Well, I don't know about $1 million. But you saved a little money. And it's like, yes, the workmanship of my own hands created this thing that we have now. And I get that. I like that satisfaction. And I get that satisfaction on game day. What's wrong with that approach?
It becomes a chore.
That is certainly true. So I guess I just look at it as... I guess I just don't have problems with chores. There's other things I do that I'm like, all right, this is, I'm dedicating myself to this. Whether I'm feeling it or not, I'm going to get this thing done. And I do that with a lot of aspects of my life, whether it's hobby stuff or professional stuff, or I would say family stuff, but I always enjoy hanging out with my family, so it's never a chore. Yeah. But it's like there's dedication. The feeling it factor doesn't even come into the equation. It's I made a commitment, often just to myself, and I will abide by that commitment. And so I look at it as more of like a duty thing.
Do it.
Yeah, okay, Emperor. It's more like a duty. It's like I'm fulfilling my oath. That's what I'm
Dark Oath Savage.
Well, maybe. I don't think it's an oath to the dark gods. But
is it a Konian thing?
That's sort of how I feel about it. So I could see how a lot of people might look at it as a chore. It's like, oh, I don't want to have a chore. I don't want to have another task hanging over my head when I already have a whole host of other chores.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
But I think the way that I look at it makes it not feel like a chore to me. It just feels like the thing I'm doing. And it also helps me look forward because I'm like, yeah, this is the thing I'm doing now because then it's not super fun. But I'm looking forward and I'm like, but it will be fun
Yeah.
when we get to the table
Yeah.
and I'll be glad that I did it.
Yeah.
I might not like it now. It's like your job, right? It's not always fun to be working at your job, although I like my job. But let's say your first job. Okay, my first job out of high school. Well, not my first. One of my jobs out of high school and through college is I worked at Sears department stores and on the loading docks, and not super fun every day.
Didn't
I mean,
you
there
wear
were
steel-capped boots?
I wore steel-toe boots, yeah, which was good because it saved my toes at least once. But the point of it is, I didn't enjoy it every day, but I did it so that I would have a little bit of money so that I could pay for my gas to get to college, or take my girlfriend out to eat at a nice place like Wendy's, right? That's something
Amazing.
fancy.
Five-star dining.
Hey, that's fancy fast food, all right? Not McDonald's. I'm not going to McDonald's. I'm taking my girl somewhere
You're
nice.
offending a national fan base.
No, I mean, McDonald's is fine, but if you want to take your girlfriend somewhere nice, go Wendy's. Go Wendy's. So, yeah, I sort of view it the same way. It's like, yeah, painting may not be my favorite, but I get the thing at the end that I really want. And so I don't really see it as a chore. I just see it as a requirement, right? I'm required to do this. I'm required to do this input to get this output that I want. Anything else you see wrong with my method?
No, I feel like just the big thing is it might become a chore.
Yeah, I think that is a big thing. I also think it's easy to get out of the habit, right?
Mhm.
If you're doing something because you're just dedicating it and you build a routine, it's not so hard to keep that routine up, right?
Yeah.
But when you have a week where, you go on vacation and then you come back and, different stuff is happening and you can't get to it for a week. And so a couple weeks go by, it can sort of be hard to get started again.
Mhm.
That's for sure. I think consistency, my method really requires consistency. And if you let it lapse, you could have a hard time. You could have a hard time. All right, let's talk about yours, Drake. Why is your way your preferred method?
I think I like it more mainly because I'm usually doing other stuff. And so when the moment arises, I have it there.
Okay, well, that's true, but I don't think that's necessarily unique to yours. I often will put on a podcast while I paint, right?
Mhm.
Or something like that. So other things going on. But I guess the question more is, why do you wait for inspiration to strike rather than just, doing it every day or something?
Mainly because I'm just usually not in the mood. I'm just like waiting for something cool to happen.
Yeah. So I think that's a big part, right? If you want to make sure that you're in the mood. And why does that make it better?
Because then you're like, yeah, I'm doing this. Yeah. You're feeling it.
Yeah, I think you're more excited, right?
Yeah.
It feels less chore-like.
Yeah.
It feels like something you want to do, right?
A hobby.
I'm engaging in the fun, right?
Woo!
I think that's very good. So I think the downside to it though is, one, if you ask me, painting's never fun. But two, the downside is
You just don't do it.
there could be, I mean, sometimes you go on a kick and you're doing all kinds of stuff for night after night after night, right? And then sometimes there are long periods of nothing. There's not, like looking at the boxes on the shelf.
I have a reason this time.
Oh, no, I'm not criticizing you.
I know.
I'm just saying that there are long periods. And because of that, you could get something, you buy it in the moment and you think, this unit's going to be so cool on the tabletop. But then, in order to build it and paint it, it takes you 6 months. 6 months, it's like, by the time you finally got it ready, it's not a good unit anymore.
Yeah.
Battle Scroll came out, that unit sucks. And so I feel like, gosh, that would hurt me. That would hurt me to get something and know that I'm going to buy this thing, but I don't actually get to play with it for a long time.
Mhm.
I would have a hard time. I would actually personally have a hard time staying in the hobby if I felt like, oh yeah, I'm just going to do this stuff and maybe it never gets played because it's just, who knows what the future looks like.
Mhm.
Why else are there any other things about it that you like?
I feel like if you read a good book on your army, you'll be like, yeah, I want to do this. This is great. But if you read a bad book on your army, like I did recently, it's like, well, I don't want to do this. They seem dumb.
Oh, yeah, I could totally see that. I think a lot of times lore and pictures of people's finished models and stuff can really
Amp you
get
up.
the juices going. Yeah, amp you up. That's a good way to put it. You get excited. But I didn't even, not every book is fantastic.
No.
Not every lore
lot of them
story is
are, though.
amazing. A lot of them are. But if
This
you
game's
find the 1 in 5,
I did
whatever it is, that's
I
not so great,
recently.
it can have the opposite effect, right? You're hoping it amps you up,
It
and
just
it
dumbs you down.
tamps you down. That's the opposite, right? Amp up, tamp down.
Like it's dumbed down.
You're dumb down.
What about you? Although I am
Well,
dumbed down right now. What is it?
I think those are sort of the two poles, right? And then people are in between. Some people are like, well, I make a point to paint at least once a week, but if I get in the mood, I could spend several days painting. And some people are more on this side who say, well, I mostly just paint when I can, but I get together with friends once a month, and that's what we do. We paint together, right? So people can be all over the place. And I think what the important part is, neither one is right or wrong, right? It's not like my way is the superior method or Drake's way is the only true hobby. It's like, you do what works for you. You do what keeps you invested. And so for somebody like me, who's much more focused on the play, when it comes to hobby at least, then I just, it's my obligation. I get through it and I get the good experience. And for somebody who enjoys, or at least wants to enjoy, that hobbying aspect, then maybe you wait for the mood to strike and it'll come in flashes. And you just wait, and then that, hey, they might be a little bit more spread out, but every time you do it, you're going to be having a blast.
Mhm.
That is a good way to look at it, because lots of times I've been painting and not having a blast. So both sides. So let us know in the comments below where you sit. How do you manage your hobby time? Do you go, just do a little bit at a time every day? You wait long times in between for flashes of inspiration? Do you have a different method that we haven't discussed? And how long? The other thing I'd be interested to know is, how long do you spend on your models? Because I wonder if that makes a difference too. For me, I do everything to a battle ready standard where it looks good on the tabletop, a little bit of detail, a little bit of shading, a little bit of highlights, and then we're moving on.
I do more than I do. I just use contrast paint and just base coat.
Yeah, that's good too. Honestly, that's good too. Like none of my stuff's going to go in a display case, but arrayed on the tabletop, it looks, I think anyway, it looks pretty good. And so I wonder if you're the kind of person who wants to take your army way, way, way higher than that.
Parade, like armies on parade.
Yeah, you're doing a parade. Do you gravitate towards one or the other? I'd be interested to know. Any final thoughts?
We got them.
All right. This has been another episode of Battle Ready.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for watching.